Suddenly, before the startled gaze of the Flash and his companion, the speaker changes into an amazingly exotic creature. Sometimes you come across a long-forgotten character and wonder just why they haven't been rediscovered again. Given another chance to shine, you found a diamond in the rough. And other times, it makes perfect sense. This is one of those times. Greetings, comic lovers, and welcome back to Casually Comics, the channel where we chat all things comics, from comics new and old, to history to anecdotes, really wherever our whims take us. Star Sapphire, now a well-known either supporting character or antagonist in the Green Lantern mythos. Usually, the most prominent character featured in the role is Carol Ferris. And the whole concept has a convoluted history at this point, one peppered with retcons, alterations, the Predator, never forget. Amidst all this, one fact that can be forgotten or is oftentimes overlooked is that the Carol Ferris version that launches the concept anew in the Silver Age is not the first. There was a Golden Age version. She was a villain for Garrick. She appeared twice and then vanished to later reappear in the year 2000, the new millennia, and needed Golden Age Star Sapphire. By that point, she'd been thoroughly replaced by the Carol Ferris version. And not just by Carol herself, by the lore surrounding her. To the point where the original when she returned was reworked to fit into that rather than the other way around. Who was Star Sapphire and what elements of her survived? Well, we're about to take a look. The original Star Sapphire was created by Robert Knyer and Lee Elias, and debuted in All Flash number 32 in 1948. So in the years of waning superhero popularity at the end of the Golden Age, but before the Silver Age, which of course means it's pre-Comics Code. Now the Golden Age comics can be harder to track down. There's been less preservation in that area. But this story, The Amazing Star Sapphire, was reprinted in the Flash Annual number 1 in 1963, which is comparatively easier to track down. The Flash is the fastest man alive. He can cram more excitement and danger into an hour than an ordinary human can in a lifetime. But is he fast enough to save a world when only 2 minutes of life remain in his body? That is the tremendous situation into which the Flash willingly speeds as he encounters for the first time the amazing Star Sapphire. I mean, the Flash willingly speeds at most encounters. It's much rarer when he doesn't. Our teaser page features Star Sapphire in full costume swinging an axe at the Flash and his female companion Dr. Flura as they lie encased in some kind of suspended animation chamber. One can see that Star Sapphire's costume, while several shades darker, is very reminiscent of the updated outfit used for Star Sapphire in the Silver Age. Color scheme aside, it's nearly identical. The bottom is really where it changes. In the Golden Age, you have the fishnets and they taper off into that little strapped heel, while the Silver Age went with no fishnets and boots. Our original is rocking that double Cinnabon hairstyle and no mask, because she doesn't need to hide who she is, and you'll see why in a moment. The Flash and Dr. Flura are found seemingly dead in the street and are rushed to the hospital, where it's revealed that they need to be kept in some kind of suspended animation. If they remove them from it improperly, they'll only have 2 minutes to live. So they summon doctors from all over the world to work on the case. And from the outset, we're meant to notice this nurse, who is clearly Star Sapphire, lurking and scheming in the background. As all this unfolding, a mysterious, what seems like at first to be a star, is approaching the Earth. It's just getting closer and closer. Bewildered crowds stare fearfully at a strange sky now colored by the Sapphire Star. The night disappeared. What happens now? They named the planet, as its panel later claimed to be, Star Sapphire. The Star Sapphire light is destroying the chlorophyll, the green living matter which helps provide oxygen. Once that is gone, there will be no more oxygen left in the world. It's only a matter of time. The science in this is going to be going all over the place. Some of it will be plausible, some of it will be working with theories from the time, and some of it's just going to go straight up sci-fi. So enjoy your ride to the 7th dimension. The people of Earth start to lose their energy, but not our villainess. You're not affected. Why should I be? And with everyone fading, she smashes the containment chamber and sends the Flash and Dr. Flura tumbling out, but they instead awaken on the Star Sapphire planet. They had been sent a mysterious capsule, and they just got in, assuming that it was sent to them by the secret city, which they'd been to before. So they were tricked. Not that she had to work very hard. She didn't even send a note or anything, just a capsule. And they're like, okay, getting in. Seems legit, let's go. I wanted to get you both out of the way while my Star Sapphire planet destroys the Earth. Who are you? Suddenly, before the startled gaze of the Flash and his companion, the speaker changes into an amazingly exotic creature, the ruler and sole inhabitant of this planet, Star Sapphire. I posted this panel a long while back, and one of the dominant comments was the question, are you the ruler if you're the only person on the planet? The question still stands. There's a goose that just went by honking so loud. Why? It's the middle of winter. You're not supposed to be here. For when my space-time machine transported you here, your earthly bodies were left behind. I carried them to the street, far from the space-time machine in the laboratory, to destroy any clue as to what actually happened. Assuming an earthly guise, I witnessed the vain attempts to revive you. Your scientists failed because they were unaware that your bodies were in 2 dimensions at the same time. And until they rejoined, your earthly bodies were useless. I will accept that they've been split into 2, but why does she want to destroy the Earth? I would like to know. Inquiring minds would like to know. Yonder in my Star Sapphire city is the mechanism that is drawing our planets together, pumping the life out of the Earth's oxygen. Destroy it, and you save your world. Oh wow, she built a whole city there. She must be lonely. The villain monologue isn't gloating. She's just happy to have people to talk to. Flash, 2 minutes to live, and she's escaping on that flying staircase. What can you do? Overtake her and destroy the mechanism before I die. Practical and to the point, no extra steps. His plan is basically win. This planet has different laws of physics, so he has to figure that out, but it only impacts certain things, like how he has to run, basically. That doesn't stop him from ripping up a tree and using himself as a propeller to destroy the mechanism killing the Earth. He succeeds and their vessel is still there, so they can just go back, hooray! But surely all of that took more than 2 minutes. 2 Earth minutes in this planet are like 2 hours. I really had plenty of time. How did you know that? Also, where is Star Sapphire? She is not mentioned again. You don't even see her again. She's not knocked out or caught in the explosion, just nothing. She took her ball and went home, even though she was already home. And I guess the planet just drifted away from Earth because the mechanism was destroyed. This is very much a filler story. The original issue this debuted in had the Fiddler's origin. It also had a Thinker story, and both had far more going on in terms of action and character motivation. Star Sapphire is not given any reason for why she's doing what she is doing. The events just kind of happen and then she vanishes. There was not a lot of love put into this first appearance. The most effort seemed to go into the design, a tale that still holds true for some characters today. But what about her second appearance? Well, for that we need to hop over to Comic Cavalcade 29, also from 1948, and the tale Flash, Last Man Alive, also by Kanaya and Elias. It is a situation that has been heatedly discussed from every angle since time began, but no satisfactory conclusion has ever been reached. How could it, when it never could happen? But then that was before the advent of Star Sapphire, Mistress of the 7th Dimension, who is responsible for the Flash, the fastest man alive, becoming in reality the last man alive. The idea of a bunch of cavemen just sitting around discussing what would happen if one of them was the last man on Earth is amusing to me. But we have to go further back than that, since the dawn of time itself. The Flash is having a standard day, stopping crooks, answering questions. Look, the Flash! He did it! Not an earthquake, but how? It's simple, learn the fastest man alive. My speed is greater than light. Too great for you to follow me when I slipped out from the flames. Yeah, try slipping out of the way of these slugs. Later, you know I didn't answer all your questions about what my speed can accomplish, but here's a science book that will. You might study it, you'll have plenty of time now. Gee, thanks, Flash. Is that a genuine thanks? Like he's really happy for this book? Why would he give that to him? Don't give him a potential edge. He has nothing but time, depending upon what his sentence is. The Flash just needs a challenge very desperately. That night we see the mysterious Star Sapphire in the sky. And when Jay wakes up the next day, he's the last man on Earth. Do you see what I see? Yes, but I can hardly believe my eyes. It's a man. Stop, stop. They must have gone mad. Ladies, it's been about 3 hours. He escapes because he's the Flash and goes to investigate. And it's true, he is the last man. The golden age by the last man needs some work. There also seems to be thousands of other people missing because there's only about 20 women in this town, or at least that's how many are drawn, if even. It's fine, I get it. Who wants to draw a crowd? Except for George Perez. Suddenly, Star Sapphire appears before the woman. Star Sapphire? The ruler of the Star Sapphire planet. The world of the 7th dimension? Yes, and she's the only inhabitant there. That's why I've come to Earth, to claim you as my subjects, for what good is a queen without vassals to do her bidding? How do they know all that? They all do all the info. Did Jay come back into a radio broadcast where he just roasted her? Just got on the air going, she's the only person on that planet. You're mad. The Flash put you in your place the last time you tried to run the Earth. And he'll do it again just as soon as he hears of this. Look around you. Do you see a man amongst you? Have you seen a man since this morning? Of course not. That's because I already shifted all the men to another dimension. In the Flash, a man naturally went with them. Golden Age Star Sapphire is a misandrist now. Silver Age Star Sapphire will be too. It's not as explicit in this Golden Age story. It never fully explains why she wants them to be women or anything like that, but some of these elements are going to carry forward. Now the women reject her, so she starts showing off what she can do with all of her extra dimensional powers, where she is the mistress of the 7th dimension. The opening teaser told me so. Lots of her dialogue now has to do with what can happen because she can access the various dimensions, and how she's made the men invisible, and how she's going to put them in the 5th dimension and they're going to circle around because of circular gravity, all kinds of stuff like that. The application is very sci-fi, but the thing is, the Flash can vibrate, and he can also access the 4th dimension, time. The Flash touches her and they both vanish. But she returns and she starts showing the woman hideous visions of the Earth being destroyed, all their monuments, landmarks. She wants them to submit, but they won't. The Flash didn't hesitate to attack tyranny if it meant his life. Shall his sacrifice be in vain? Don't let fear make slaves of us. Show Star Sapphire that we haven't forgotten to fight for liberty or die for it. So how does the Flash solve this? He's stuck on the Star Sapphire planet, 7th dimension things. Well, with time travel. He just goes backwards, goes through the dimensions, picks up the about 20 dudes who are missing on the way back, and then he's back. And the story just kind of ends. We have the Flash saying that they've moved back to the moment before all this started, but they should all be in the same places where they were, but they weren't. I guess he's gonna go even further back. It's kind of implied, but it's not clear. Because the last panel is of him in bed, and you can still see the Star Sapphire in the background, and then it's just end. It feels so abrupt. And also, why would she not just come back? There's nothing stopping her from coming back. He hasn't really dealt with that aspect of it, but she just doesn't. Golden Age Star Sapphire, everybody. She did not even have a name. Now, as it stood, Star Sapphire herself didn't really stand out. And yet her design would linger and make the transition to the Silver Age, where some of these characters were being revamped for this new era. So it also makes sense that a newer iteration of the character would come forward, but it's interesting that that happened in Green Lantern and not the Flash. In 1962 in Green Lantern 16, written by John Broome, with art by Gil Kane, Carol Ferris finds herself transformed into the Star Sapphire. Obviously inspired by the Golden Age and the fact that the costume as mentioned is nearly identical, and she bears the same name. Her original origin sees her selected by the Zamorons, a race of female warriors who have chosen her because she looks like their queen. Jupiter Ascending, is that you? As one of the Zamorons touches a finger to Carol's forehead, an image appearing before me. If that is their former queen, I must admit there is a striking resemblance. An exact resemblance, no doubt of it. Your Highness, we must leave at once to return to Zamoron, where you will be crowned Queen Star Sapphire. You mean leave the Earth? But I can't do that. Now, Carol doesn't want to stay because of family, friends, just connection to the Earth, not wanting to go to an alien planet or the business she's running. No, it's because of Green Lantern. She can't leave. She's so thirsty. And so at this point, one of the elements that was hinted at from the Golden Age comes forward. The Zamorons express an anti-male sentiment, presented in the form of female superiority given their warrior prowess. This is an intensification of the disdain that was expressed by the Golden Age Star Sapphire in her expression when she talked about men in the second story, and also was kind of hinted at potentially in her desire for solely female subjects. The Zamorons give Carol powers and send her off to fight Green Lantern. They have a kind of telepathic hold, so they're forcing her to do it because she doesn't really want to. But they want to show her that she's more powerful than him. I mean, they didn't need to do all that. All they need to do is give her a bar of soap, have her confront him in a room full of trippable objects, paint herself yellow, catapulted backward. Green Lantern accidentally strikes a projecting ledge. The best part is that in this first fight, she was actively trying not to hurt him and she still took him out with a head injury. I worry about Hal. Can he even remember all the planes he flew? Even though she's defeated Green Lantern, she still doesn't want to come with them. The Zamorons are disgusted. She doesn't seem to realize the men are a distinctly inferior species. She acts as if a man could be something important. But we mustn't be hasty. Now this time Carol loses, which isn't surprising. As mentioned, she was trying to lose the first time. Back in the Zamoron spaceship, since you were defeated by a mere man, Carol Ferris, it is clear that you cannot really be the next successor to the Zamoron throne. Therefore, we must search elsewhere for our Star Sapphire queen. Stop watching Jupiter Ascending on loop. It doesn't have to be a person who looks like the last queen. So they take her memory of everything, but they leave the Sapphire for some reason. Canonically, no reason. For the meta reason, of course, is that this can happen again. She can be transformed. And so for a time, because they took her memory, she would have no memory of being Star Sapphire, so it'd be kind of a dual thing going on, a dual identity. 1970s Miss Marvel is like, write that down, write that down. This version of Star Sapphire would land better. You still had quite an eye-catching look, but now paired with a regular supporting character and love interest with ties to the main character of the book. There was the potential for drama and suspense, and it led to the character sticking around, because especially at the start, Hal didn't know that Carol was Star Sapphire and she didn't know that Hal was Green Lantern. There's a whole bunch of mistaken identity and all kinds of stuff to play with. So how did the Golden Age Star Sapphire re-enter the picture? She found her way into one of the stories from Flash and Green Lantern, The Brave and the Bold, a 6-issue miniseries, and for our purposes we need issue 6 from the year 2000, written by Mark Waid and Tom Payer, with art by Baron Kitson and colors by Laverne Kanzierski. This series centered on the friendship between Hal Jordan and Barry Allen. It was set at various points in continuity throughout their history, so they were supposed to be stories that could slot into past continuity. Issue 6 takes place after Iris's death, and Hal specifically mentions his almost wedding to Carrie Limbo, Guy's fiance. So that means that this has to be after Green Lantern 122. It doesn't line up perfectly, but there's enough that you can figure out where the story should go. Barry is not okay, and that's what most of the story story is about. It's about Hal keeping an eye on Barry because he can tell he's falling apart. In this issue, Carol does get turned back into Star Sapphire, which confuses Barry because he's heard the name before. I'm gonna do a slow Barry for this because he's sad. Same name as the woman the original Flash told me fought decades ago. Still inhabitant of the 7th dimensional world. She mounted 2 attacks on Earth and then was never heard from again. That Cliff Notes is so depressing because it's so accurate. That Star Sapphire doesn't sound anything like mine. Pretty big coincidence then. Are you sure there's no link? Could there be 2? I'll take questions. Very few people were asking for 100. Barry is going way too hard. He keeps utilizing too much force because he still has all this anger because of what happened to Iris. Hal has to pull him back from nearly killing Carol. And as the battle wages, he sees some kind of portal attached to her and then just goes right into it. Hal couldn't see the portal. And he ends up on the mysterious planet, the same one from the original stories that they kinda sorta established in the second story was in the 7th dimension, but not really, but this one kind of firmly establishes that. 7th dimension time. Welcome to the 7th dimension, Flash. It's been a long time, but you should remember that natural laws don't apply here. Do you like that they included the staircase, the floating staircase that would just appear around her? I'm glad they included that. That's a nice nod. Star Sapphire. Wait, you're not him, are you? Is he dead? You'd like that, wouldn't you? The Flash you know is alive and well, Sapphire, and he carries his years better than you. Shut up! I'm sorry, it's not funny that she slapped him. It's just the overreaction. So melodramatic. Shut up! I was queen of these Samarons till they turned on me. They revoked the real Sapphire and left me stranded here with a cheap copy as a survival tool. But they undid themselves. It took them a lifetime to find a successor whose beauty rivals mine. That's not what they were looking for. They needed a person who just looked like the other person, but then also their criteria changed because she was too in love with Green Lantern. Welcome to the retcon zone. Now this is happening post-Crisis on the Infinite Earth, so you could just slide in as this is just the new history. Since so much was changed post that, this is gonna give her a backstory, which she did not have before. Although it's still pretty vague. Why did the Zamarons turn on her? I want more details of what happened to the first one. This still unnamed first OG Star Sapphire found a way to track the gem and eventually traced it to Carol. She's just been sitting here waiting to find it, and time has amplified her bitterness, which she is using to then ramp up Carol's. But now she has Barry's rage and she can channel that at Carol somehow through the 7th dimension. I can sense it through the bond of our gems. She's almost one. Keep feeding her. No. Yes, you can't help yourself. We're two of a kind, you and I. You feel what it's like to be so angry you have nothing to live for. Oh no. We're the same, you and I. Get Hal up here. Now you may be wondering, why doesn't she just go back to Earth? In the classic Golden Age story, she could just do that. She didn't, but she could have. This is the time. The explanation is now. Get ready, brace yourselves, set phasers to disappointment. What's in 4 decades of solitude? Why not fight Green Lantern directly rather than through a pawn? I know how the Zamarons dethroned you, Sapphire. I know your dirty secret. You're afraid of men. Don't judge me. You have no right. I will still win. I will rule. What? Where is that coming from? So he deduced this because after he burst out of what he was being held in, the vines, and he tried to get her, she recoiled from him. Because as she said, remember, he's full of rage, like murderous rage. But no, it's because she's afraid of all men. All of them. I didn't do my stresses this morning and it's too bad because to pull that from the original stories, it's a bit of a reach. Now granted, she didn't really have a motivation, so you can put pretty much anything in there. But it's not the strongest addition. Why is she in the 7th dimension? Why put her there? Why did they leave her with a duplicate gem and not wipe her mind? I can accept the gem because they just left Carol with a gem too. The real one apparently. I will have my vengeance on my sisters! That's a bit stronger, wanting vengeance on the people who stole what she feels is hers. But it could be stronger. Hiding in the 7th dimension because she is afraid of all men is a tougher sell. Of course miles will vary, but just with no build-up, it kind of comes out of left field. Let's do it. Let's try and make a couple changes right now. Somehow, Golden Age Star Sapphire came into contact with the actual crystal from the Zamarons. Their queen had been lost in the process. They had lost her sapphire, and so they were looking for that. Our OG Star Sapphire uses it to transport herself to another planet and spent time there mastering its use. Now she wants subjects for her own world, which she's crafted the way that she likes. Maybe the gem, because of its royal history, is giving some kind of echo that's projecting into her mind that she needs to be royalty, or that it's giving her these kind of ideas that that's what it's meant for. Some kind of subconscious influence. And now she's acting it out. She's got some misandry going on. She hates men, reason TBD, and so she only seeks out women. However, because of this, she gets on the Zamarons' radar. And they have their whole you need to look like our queen thing, and she doesn't. So despite everything that she's done, they reject her. This shatters her. She felt her dreams of having subjects were about to come true. They take the gem, marooning her on this planet where she spends years trying to replicate some form of it so she can break through to Earth, which she finally does, but at first she can only see, so she just sees the new Star Sapphire. It's just making her more and more bitter. Finally, decades later, she can break through and have her revenge. She'll get revenge on Carol and the Zamarons. It's a work in progress. I only spent about 10 minutes on it, but it still has some potential. Propose your own ideas for how we can just beef up OG Star Sapphire. Back in what actually happened, OG Star Sapphire flees to Earth. Let go of me. Still frightened? Believe me, I'll give you a reason to be afraid of me. Can you take it down at least 20 levels, Barry? Barry Allen will give you something to cry about, confirmed. Now, Carol Star Sapphire sucks OG into the gem she's holding, and that's her bit done. The wrap-up is Barry just descending into a kind of psychotic break, where for a while he thinks that Carol is Iris and that they need to save her. He's even calling her Iris. Hal really needs to pull him back and get him to see that it is Carol. Barry's crying. It's a whole thing. The two manage to defeat Carol, and then they decide they're gonna bury the gem with the OG Sapphire in it. And that's all for now. Also, Barry's just fine at the end of this. He's not. Get some help. Somebody get help for Barry. Hal's not cutting it. And that's all she wrote for Star Sapphire time of recording for this particular version. But she could come back. The question then would be, but why though? Now they are doing more things with Golden Age characters time of recording, so the potential is there. But the second Star Sapphire very much usurped the first in this case. It's just more fleshed out and by now far more established, and with a branching lore that you kind of have to cram the original into. It would be doable, but this isn't exactly a gem of a lost character. Not all characters land. Sometimes it takes a few tries, sometimes you just need to revamp the idea and do it a bit differently. Some just have their time and then fade. And the original Star Sapphire seems to have been mined and had the best / most interesting elements of her transferred to her replacement. And now there are so many other Star Sapphires that even if you wanted to do a different Star Sapphire story, you have other Star Sapphires to choose from. So it's a nice nod and reference, a deep cut, but at this point it's not surprising she's fallen by the wayside. So that is the tale of Golden Age Star Sapphire. And those are my thoughts, and I want to hear yours. Do you disagree? Brimming with potential. Do you like how she was brought back and see the connections and updates that they made? Any more obscure characters that you want to hear about? How do you feel about this wig? A long while ago, in a behind the scenes video for my members, I posted as one of the wigs that I didn't think I would ever wear. But today was the day. Today it happened. I call it my Miss Frizzle wig. Tell me what you think. Share all your thoughts about everything down below. While you're down there, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification so that you don't miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking some time to discuss and comments with me. I always appreciate it. I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. One breath.